Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sunday Service Episode 10. I'm your host, Josh Monday from the Josh Monday Christian and Conspiracy Podcast. If you don't know me, I'm a Christian rapper, devoted husband, father, and Army veteran. And today, since we're talking about Jacob and Esau, I brought on my brother. He's a devoted husband, father, football coach, and yeah, he loves the Bible. So what's up, Jason? How's it going, brother?
Good morning. How are you? How's everything going over there on your side of town, which is not
Dude.
that far away from me?
Good. Well, hopefully you're coming over tonight, man. We can hang out and watch the fight, man. I looking
Well, my
forward to that.
daughter's got gymnastics at 5, so and I gotta get my son, so I'm gonna try to get my son early and then go over to you.
Okay, perfect, bro. I can't wait. So, yeah, Jason is the host of our co-host of my show on Josh Monday Christian Conspiracy Podcast. For all of you that don't know, probably a lot of you that do listen to the show know, but yeah, I appreciate you coming on, bro. Waking up early with me at 5 o'clock in the morning, like we always do, and talking about some Jacob and Esau and having a good time, dude. So we'll go ahead and share screen. It's easier when I have somebody with me because then I can actually share the screen for those that get to see this on video. All right, for some reason I'm not in the screen. Let's see, show grid, show thumbnail.
You're on my screen.
Am I? All right,
Yep.
oops. I may be on their screen. It's all good. So, I thought we could probably go back just to Genesis 32 just so people kind of get a reminder. So, Genesis 32, Esau comes to meet Jacob. So, we've already gone over everything in Genesis, but Esau's coming to meet Jacob, and then Jacob, I'm just kind of going over like a little, brief summary. Jacob offers Esau his oxen, donkeys, flocks, uh, male and female servants, and basically, in their culture, for him to, he's offering these to him. But he has to get him to accept these. But Esau is telling him that he doesn't need those. He doesn't want them. But Jacob is insisting, and then so basically, and then he starts praying to God to deliver me. I pray from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. I fear him, and God is telling him to move forward. So God's kind of giving him that. And then Jacob is wrestling with God. We kind of went over that. That's what Israel is. That's one of the meanings of Israel. It's wrestle with God. Just want to let you guys know that that's something that I just learned this week. So we'll dip right into Genesis 33. So we'll go ahead and do that. So what we'll do, Jason, the style that I have on this show is just read the verses, and I'm going to ask you if you have anything to say or anything about it. It's kind of the way to do it, man. Just if you have some notes or anything about that section, just let the audience know, and we'll go from there. So, all right, we're going to start from Genesis 33. Jacob and Esau meet. It says, now Jacob lifted his eyes and looked there. Esau was coming with him with 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two maidservants. And he put the maidservants and their children in front, Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. So if you guys notice, he's putting them in order, literally of importance to him. Because as we went through Genesis, you see that Leah has been put, kind of on the back burner a little bit. He still loves their children. I'm not saying that, but Rachel and Joseph, they're put last because Rachel was his love. That's the one that he wanted. He worked 14 years basically just to be with. So you see how they put him in that order. Okay. It says, then he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near his brother. So he's basically bowing each time, just to show basically like that he doesn't want beef. He doesn't want to fight. And he keeps thinking that his brother wants to fight. His brother came with 400 men, as we read in Genesis 32, and Joseph is afraid. Even though Joseph has God's blessing to move, Jacob's already wrestled with God and got blessed by him. But Jacob now has a hurt hip. Jay, you remember that when he wrestled God, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, he's got a hurt hip, and it's going to be with him the rest of his life. So he's probably limping, but bowing down, and it's a little, kind of scary. Esau's got 400 men. Esau was the hunter. Esau was the, more of the fighting type. Jacob obviously is strong as well, though, because he wrestled with God. So he has some manly to him too. But he's not wanting to fight, and he's thinking that Esau wants to fight. But if even if me and Jason we beef for 20 years it's on something, then I could imagine, if I saw him again, I would do this. I would hug him, kiss him, and embrace him.
Not if I had
Uh,
God on my side, I wouldn't really worry about it. I don't know why he's afraid. It's kind of
it's what people do.
yeah, I know it's fear, but it's it's more because he has guilty. He's kind of
Yeah.
he knows what he
Deceived
did.
him.
You
Deceiving. Yeah.
know?
Yeah. He's feeling that Holy Spirit convicting him, right? So, okay. So now we'll go back to the scripture. It says, but Esau ran to meet him, embraced him, and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted his eyes and saw the women and children and said, who are these with you? So he said, the children whom God has graciously given your servant. Then the maidservants came near, and their children bowed down. And Leah also came near, and her children they bowed down. Afterward, Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed down. So if you notice, Joseph and Rachel in the back because Rachel hasn't had Benjamin yet. So that's why they're in the back. It's Rachel's son Joseph, her actual one that was born. So then Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I meet?" And he said, "These are to find favor in the sight of my Lord." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." So what he's referring to is the livestock that he was trying to give him in Genesis 32. He's trying to give him that livestock. He wants him to accept him because at this point he might not still trust him. He's thinking that if he gets him to accept the livestock, then he knows that like the beef is over and they're good. So even though he hugged him, kissed him, he still has 400 men, and he's trying to make sure that he's good with Esau. So anything that you got from this part so far, bro?
Uh, just that when Esau shows up with 400 men, that means he's probably got he was probably promised a lot of power too. So he it's kind of crazy because when you in the contrast of like Esau, Jacob, and Isaac and Ishmael stuff like that, like they're all basically kind of the it's a pattern that goes through scripture that it forms like a prophecy is pattern in the Jewish nation. So it's kind of you start to see it come through the Bible and Jacob's probably he's tripping, man. Like, hey, this guy came up 400 men. I just gave him my family, but I got this dowry for him. I got my this stuff that he might need. But when Jacob probably saw 400 men, he's like, dang, dude, he probably didn't even care about that. But
Yeah,
when he runs up and kisses him, it's like all that doesn't even matter. And Esau's like, yeah, keep that for yourself. You got a family, you got all this stuff. I got mine. I'm not worried about it. And it's crazy how it's like Esau married what was it? I think Ishmael married an Egyptian.
he actually married a Hittite.
Well, no,
That was one of.
Ishmael. That's crazy because
Oh, you're talking
Ishmael
about
married
Ishmael.
a
I'm sorry.
yeah,
That's right.
Ishmael
You're talking
married an
about Ishmael.
Egyptian. Esau married a Hittite, which
Hittite,
were both
pagan.
yes, both pagan.
Yeah,
And it's just well, basically Gentile, but it's just
yeah,
it's just the contrast of both of these and the way it goes through. It's like God keeps His promises to everybody, and it doesn't matter how you try to ruin it or you try to help out God's little process.
yeah,
It always finds a way. Like He always finds good in out of all your bad. Like He always makes it
yeah.
good out of all your
Turns
bad.
the evil into good. Yeah, and
It's
and
always.
Esau also he ended up marrying Ishmael's line as well. He married the Hittite, and then he thought like, hey, well maybe they want me to marry a family member, so he went and married Ishmael's lineage. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
that's interesting.
It's
But the
crazy.
Hittite is actually part of which we went over a giant clan. So that's kind of interesting that Esau would venture into that, and then that's something that she pointed out. And as we go, which I kind of mentioned last episode, you notice that they don't want them to marry into the Canaanite bloodline, because that's where the giants dwell, and that DNA is not the DNA that they want the Messiah to come through. So
Well, they
you
just
could
stuck to the
tell.
world. They stuck to the worldly, fleshly ways. They didn't ever want to cross over to our side or
Yeah.
to their side. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. And yeah, and if you notice, even Ishmael traveled, or actually uh Abraham had his servant travel 450 miles to go back to Laban, and get Rachel. And you just kind of see what's going on with that. They kind of just try to stay away from that Canaanite line. And it's interesting how she was mentioning to him that's part of the reason why she was mentioning that Jacob needs to go back to Laban, because that's why she was pushing Ishmael to have Jacob go back, so it's interesting. So we'll continue to read. We're going to go back to scriptures. Genesis 33:10 says, and Jacob said, no, please, if I have found no favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face as though I have seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Please take my blessing that it is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me and because I have enough. So he urged him and he took it. Okay, he took it. That's exactly what he wanted. Once he knows that Esau took it, it's not about anything, but once he takes it in their culture, that means he's accepting it, and they're good. That's something that he really needed, and he made it happen. So that's good. Or God made it happen. Um, so Genesis 33:12, we have, then Esau said, let us take our journey and let us go, and I will go before you. But Jacob said to him, my Lord knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and herds that are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flock will die. Please let my Lord go on ahead before his servant. I will lead on slowly at a pace with the livestock that go before me, and children are able to endure until I come to my side in Seir. Um, and Esau said, no, let me leave with you some of the people that are with me. So he kind of wants to leave some servants with them to help him out. And he knows that Jacob said he's going to be traveling slower. I think at this point, Jacob understands that he took it, that they're good, but he kind of wants to separate. He doesn't want to have that pressure, I think. So he's kind of just trying to tell him in a nice way that he wants to separate. And Esau said he wants to leave some people with them, to make sure that they're good. He said, what is, we're back to the scripture now, but he said, what need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord. And Esau returned that day on his way to Seir, and Jacob journeyed to Succoth, built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of this place is called Succoth. All right, so here we go. Now,
Isn't that like a Jewish celebration, Sukkot?
yeah, it is. And
And it's like you get a tent and you guys it's like yeah, it's like yeah, that's pretty crazy. I didn't
yeah,
even knew that.
yeah, and then we're at Genesis 33. Let's just see what that I could find out what that word means. Succoth. Genesis 33 and 33:15. Yeah, I like to go to the Strong's Concordance and see. So my Lord, Succoth. All right. And the
Sukkot.
Sukkot. Yeah, it
Yes.
says it's called booths, and this is a site where Jacob put up booths for his cattle and built a house for himself. Apparently east of the Jordan near the ford of the torrent, Jacob and tribe of Gad, the first stopping place of the Israelites when they left Egypt. Wow. So that's the first stopping place of the Israelites when they left Egypt. And it's also a place where Jacob put up booths for his cattle and built a house for himself. Yeah, interesting. It's a Succoth. Succoth. So we have that. All right. And then let's go back to the scripture now. We're at Genesis 33:18. It says, then Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and he pitched his tent before the city, and he bought the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for the 100 pieces of silver. And they erected an altar there and called it El Allah, Israel. Nice. All right, so perfect. So that's Genesis 33, kind of a short chapter, quick. Now we have a incident that's coming up right here that, as you see, man, with the Bible, with the book of Genesis, it's packed with a lot. I mean, almost like some Game of Thrones type stuff, man. A lot of stuff going on. The Bible is super interesting. So This incident is no it doesn't it just definitely doesn't disappoint either, man. It's
Well,
crazy.
this story right here is actually what got me into the Bible. No lie, no doubt about it. I'm not lying to you. This is a super cool story, dude. It's kind of like, yeah, like you said, it's like kind of like some comic book stuff or something or some crazy.
Yeah, Game of
You
Thrones drama, like when you think about it, and if you
don't mess around. You don't
yeah,
mess around, dude. You don't mess
yeah,
around.
and
Especially like you said, there's a two versions of another of some brothers going to,
you're handling business.
defend some honor of your family members, and even just disobeying your father to go do it no matter
Yeah,
what.
yes.
They
So
don't care what the deal is. They don't care. On
yeah,
sight, you're done. It's like, man, that's then you get separated. Now you can't. Now your people got. Well, we'll get back to the story, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this story right here is what brought me into the Bible. Because when I started, my dad told me about this story a long time ago, and I started when he was still alive, and when I was a kid. And when I read it, I was like, wow, that's some gangster stuff right there. That's OG.
Yeah,
It's like
definitely gangster.
you feel like you could put yourself in that situation. You could actually relate to that, like because you have family members that have been, in some trouble, and you don't care. You don't care what goes down. You're gonna be there, and you're gonna don't let nobody defile your sister, dude.
Yes, and we actually have family members that have had that have been molested too, man. So this is this stuff right here hits home, and you understand like the feeling that you get when you hear something like this. So let's read this. So it says the Dinah incident. Okay, so now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had born to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land, and with Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hittite prince of the country, saw her, and he took her and lay with her and violated her. So this right here, violate, it actually means like literally means rape. So he raped her. Okay. So one thing I want to point out real quick is you guys got to understand it's not like the same as letting your daughter go out to the city right now. You definitely want to be protective of her. But it's a little different back then because if you're going alone, you're traveling alone, or you're going to hang out in the city without a man, it was a little harder back then. You're vulnerable to stuff like this, so you got
Well,
to
you go, yeah, your women going out doing things they shouldn't be doing. When you put yourself in a situation like that, you should never be
yeah.
doing that by yourself, especially when you're a young, beautiful,
Yeah,
daughter of
and
somebody.
and as we know, like yeah, like that line, that lineage has some beautiful women. I know Leia, it said that she was not, she was not as pretty, but there's some beautiful women in that line, so you can
Yep, Sarah
understand.
was beautiful.
Yeah,
All of them, they're just
yeah.
like
And
they're saying
Laban,
for dinner.
Laban,
Yeah.
Laban's line, obviously they had some beautiful children. So Rebecca, Rachel, all of them are strongly beautiful. And it sounds like this woman was attractive too, because this gentleman, he says his soul was strongly attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young woman and spoke kindly to the young woman. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this young woman as a wife." So he took her, he violated her, but then he started being attractive to her and actually falling in love, and saying, "Hey, I want this woman as my wife." And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. One thing I want to point out real quick, we'll get back to the scripture right now, but when you get violated like that and raped, in their culture as a woman, they say that you're done. You're like even though it's not her fault, I don't know why, but when that happens and everybody knows about it, it's like your reputation gets ruined. Just like Sarah,
Excommunicated. Yeah.
yeah, just like Sarah, when Abraham had to lie, uh, they cleared her name. Basically they cleared Sarah's name and said that nothing happened, so that everybody didn't make her, treat her like that. So that's what's happening, and that's why this is besides the raping part, which is not good at all. Also, they know Jacob, and then the brothers know that they defiled his Dinah, and also make people feel that way about her, and they don't like that. So it says, we'll go back to the scriptures now. Genesis 34:5. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. Then Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. And the sons of Jacob came in from the field, and they heard it, and the men were grieved, and they were very angry, because he had done a disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, a thing which ought. Oh yeah, one thing I want to point out real quick here. Do you see how they say like disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with them? So this is the first time that Israel is actually mentioned as a nation. I heard Chuck Missler talking about this when I was studying this. This is the first time that they're mentioned as like a nation. It says disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with Jacob. Normally, it's when they speaking about Jacob before this, like Jacob was called Israel, but right here they call him like Israel, like a nation, right? So I thought that was interesting. Um, we'll get back to the scripture. It says, "And a thing which ought not be done, but Hamor spoke with them, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to me as a wife, and make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters to yourselves. So you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade it in, and acquire possessions for yourselves in it." Then Shechem said to her father and her brothers, "Let me find favor in the eyes, and whatever you say to me, I will give. Ask me ever so much dowry and gift, and I will give according to what you say to me. But give to me the young woman as a wife." So you guys, as you guys see, they're
So you see that where Jacob offered Esau the same type of stuff, all these things to atone for his bad doings, and Jacob probably has that feeling like, you know what, I did this before. I'm gonna forgive this guy for this. He's gonna, I kind of I must accept this because I could have been killed by Esau and for doing what I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and you can feel you can see like where the you know what I mean, like it's not that far behind what happened. So he's like, okay, then I'm gonna accept this and go ahead and make this deal with you.
yeah, yep, and it says, and Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Wait, am I on the wrong spot? Oh no, I'm sorry. Then
No, you're
Shechem
good.
said to his father, "Give me a young woman as wife." That's how I wanted to do. I wanted to go down.
Yeah, number five.
I think we're on a 13. It says, then Shechem said to her father and brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes." Yeah. So we're on 13. It says, "But the sons of Jacob answered Shechem, Hamar's father, and spoke deceitfully, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. And they said to them, We cannot do this thing to give our sister to to his uncircumcised, for that would be a reapproach to us. But on this condition, we will consent to you. If you become as we are, if every male of you is circumcised, then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not heed this and be circumcised, then we will take our daughters and be gone." So this man is so in love with or so in love with their daughter that they're willing to do whatever, it sounds like.
They circumcise themselves and become like the Jewish nation.
Yeah,
That's something that
part of
you're
the covenant,
supposed.
basically.
It's something that you're supposed to do when you are 8 days old, to where your blood and which is crazy when a male baby is born, the vitamin that's in your body that clots your blood is the most highest. So that's why you're supposed to get circumcised as a baby on the 8th day. You're not supposed to do this when you're later because you could bleed to death. It's very sore. It's like there's a lot of problems that can happen. You're not. It's not a smart thing to do. And these guys really don't have that type of not they weren't practicing that back then, so who knows how they did it? They were like didn't probably know that, like what's going on.
Yeah, and these people, especially because they don't do that, so they don't even know what to do
But
with the
to
baby
do
nor
that,
themselves. Yeah,
but to do that, that means these guys like the dad Shechem was like, "Hey, dude, you messed up. So, and if you really do this, we're gonna do this for you." But that's not. This guy must have been really felt sorry and really in love, but it doesn't matter.
yeah. And their words pleased Hamar, Shechem, Hamar's son, and the young man did not delay to do that thing, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. He was honorable than all the household of his father. And Hamar and Shechem, his son, came to the gate of their city and spoke with the men of their city, saying, These men are at peace with us. Therefore, let them dwell in the land and trade in it. For indeed, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters for us as wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men consist to dwell with us and one people. If every male among us is circumcised, as they are circumcised, will not their livestock and their property and every animal of theirs be ours? Let us consent to them, and let them dwell with let they and they will dwell with us. And all who went out to the gate of the city heeded Hamor and Shechem his son. Every male was circumcised, and all who went out to the gate of the city. So, so basically, not just Shechem, not just them, Hamor and Shechem, but they actually every male of the city they had get circumcised. So obviously, they felt pretty guilty about what they did, and he was like, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna have everybody." So and he's the leaders, right? So they can have every male get circumcised, and uh and obviously Jacob's sons, they're actually doing this in secret, telling him to do this. They didn't tell Jacob, so just keep that in mind. Now it came to pass on the third day that they were in pain, and the two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword and came boldly upon the city and killed all the males. And they killed Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon this and upon the slain and plundered the city, because their sisters had been defiled. They took their sheep, their oxen, their donkeys, and was in the city and was in the field with all their wealth. All their little ones and their wives they took captive, and they plundered even all that was in their houses. So Simeon and Levi. So why were they chosen? So this is Leah's sons, right? Okay, so this is Dinah's like real brothers through Jacob, but they're real brothers. So this is why this is happening. Dinah came from Leah, Simeon and Levi came from Leah. So this is why these two are the ones that took this most to heart and created and devised this plan. So anything that you wanted to say about this part, Jay?
No, man, this is just two brothers that if I remember right, Jacob didn't know about this.
No, he
So they
didn't.
did it in secret. And the Simeonites and the Levites are the priests. I don't know. I don't know how deep that goes, but they're the priesthood of the Jewish nation. So they had to separate. Like you go this way, you go that way, and no more can you guys be together no more because you guys are too rough.
Together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
together you guys make
And the
you.
Levites were tough too. Like they were super like as a political or
But
like
they
as
never went to war.
yeah, they didn't
Right
go to
now,
war.
that's I think this is why.
They're
Like
probably too crazy.
yeah, like you,
Yeah.
they no, they're yeah, that's probably why they Levites never went to battle. They were the ones they were the priesthood. So that's I never thought of it that way either. Like, hey man, you guys can't go.
But they were strong though. Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Yeah, they
just
were
yeah.
strong, but they became priests. So they weren't just like weaklings in there, but they were
No,
strong and
no.
yeah, they were tough.
They
So
were in the center of the camp. Levites were always in the center of the camp, and everybody was always camped around them. And if you do go back to like the numbers and read through there, if you see the way they had their torches and everything set up around the camp, you had a certain amount of people at the top. You had Judah at the bottom because they were the biggest nation, and a couple of them. Then you had left and right. And if you came over that mountain and saw how their camp looked, it was a giant cross. And it's
yeah.
it's crazy. And then you can't camp out of the Levi line because it's kind of like if you're on the fence, you're either in or out. You cannot camp outside that line because you're not hot or cold. You're either in this camp or you're out this camp. You're not in the middle of
Mm,
it.
interesting.
It is interesting
Interesting.
that's crazy that these two brothers, not 20 men, not 200 men. These two guys just were in there and cleaned house, and they didn't care about the punishment. They didn't care about the who was going to be there. They just knew that what happened wasn't cool, and they didn't accept their father's uh, deal with that guy. They didn't care about that, so they disobeyed
No.
their father, and they
Yeah,
did it in
because all the
secret.
yeah, yeah, because all the
Just like
other
Jacob did
males,
it in secret to con his brother. Just like it's like, man, like God goes through and uses all these, you know, the way humans are, where they like to con and lie and cheat, but it doesn't matter. Your lies and your even your sin could be used for good. So don't always think that you're just you have it really bad. You don't.
Yeah, like Rebecca, was lying to Isaac, and Esau was lying to, like all of them are just like that. And you know what? That like, we can't really judge them, because a lot of us are like that, as
I've done it a
peoples.
million times.
Yeah.
That's why I can relate to these stories because I've just done it. I've done the same thing a lot, and it's like, wow, man. Okay, well, these are all humans in here, and there's only one perfect person, and
Yeah. God probably is looking forward to it. Like as I said on last episode, God was probably looking forward to when Jesus came because he's working with someone that's got integrity and is perfect. So it's hard to probably for God to deal with all these these people. But hey, you know what? And but they have no. This is the thing I was talking about, Jason. They have no Bible to go to, right? They had to speak to God firsthand. So it's a little different than what we have. We get to see God's character
yeah,
throughout the
because
Bible, and
The Torah is not written yet. This is just all
no,
basically going off of this is the patriarch.
yeah,
The
yeah,
patriarchy is part of the thing where everyone thought like if you the man and everything was ahead of that everything and there was as you notice all these dowries and deals and and Jacob must have had a lot of stuff because you got a king of a city and a son, or whatever, like a prince, and they're making a deal with this guy, so he must have had a lot of stuff too. Like it wasn't just some little farmer guy hanging out in the field by himself with some cattle. No, he must have had
no.
a lot of
Oh
things
yeah.
going on. He
That's why
had
you had all the
12 sons,
livestock.
right?
Yeah. Well,
So
right
that's
now
12 sons.
he's got 11 right now, and then the 12th hasn't been born yet.
That's
Yeah.
how crazy how Isaac had 12. I think Ishmael had 12. Um, in these they're all promised these nations and they're not everyone thinks it's just these 12 brothers, just 12 people in the family. No, just imagine all these guys having kids and it goes all down the line and they're all intermingling with with other races, all that stuff. So there's a lot of people here. They don't mention it, but there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot going on. Yeah. Like we don't get to see the whole picture, but we get to see these main, scenarios. So we have, okay, we'll continue reading now and show you that this is the, oh, my bad. You'll see that, this is the part where, oh, you know what? I think I might have, clicked on, I didn't want to click
It's
on
weird
that.
because I'm looking at your version and I'm reading out of my version, and there are a lot of words and things are just different. The way they explain, I'm like, man, dude, like it's you see how much the Bible is watered down.
Yeah, yeah. This is the New King James. That's what I'm
Uh,
reading from. So I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry, guys.
Here
Let's
it is
get
right there. You got
back.
it. You got it.
Yep. I just want to go down to the bottom and read. Sorry about that. Thanks for covering for me while I did that. Okay, here we go. Um, so we're on 34, not 33. I just want
Yeah,
to read the very
you're already
bottom
there.
section.
Right there you go.
Perfect. Thanks, Jay. All right, so now let's go to the bottom. So, all right, so this is where you see where Jacob didn't know their plan, It says, okay, one thing, all the males in the city didn't do this. Shechem and Shechem had uh they killed Hamor and Shechem his son. Yeah, Shechem, he ended up doing this. So now we understand probably from our standpoint, like them defending their sister, but a lot of the pastors that I was studying were saying like those people didn't deserve to die. So this is something that is in the sight of God, obviously. I don't think that is good at all. In the sight of Jacob, as you can see, it's not good as well, But we can understand the pain and that part where they wanted to come back and help their sister, and do that. So it says, then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have troubled me by making me obnoxious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And since I am a few in number, they will gather themselves together against me and kill me, and I shall be destroyed, my household and I. And they said, should he treat our sisters like a harlot or like a prostitute? Basically, is what that means. And so they just they're still on that mission where they're just like, hey, they're still super offended by this, obviously. So now we have Jacob returning to Bethel. So that story is done. So anything else, Jay, that from that scenario that you wanted to bring up, or anything else from Genesis 34? I'm gonna look in my notes and see if I have anything.
Yeah, it's because back then it was a life for a life. If you they didn't kill his sister, but they basically murdered her reputation. So a life for life. That's there you go. That's not a life for 40. Like who knows how many men were in that city? And that's just I feel like that's I don't know if I would have went that far, but definitely the person who was guilty of it would have got theirs.
Yeah,
Definitely that.
they could have went in obviously and probably just took their sister and probably just killed Shechem, right? And maybe the
Yep.
dad. They probably could have done that. Even though the dad didn't do
They
anything.
went a
But
little bit too far. They
yeah,
went
they
too
went a little too
far.
far. Even Jacob was like, "What are you guys doing?"
But
So
but look
what?
at God. God didn't destroy them. He didn't say, "Hey, both you guys are done, done." He didn't do
Yeah.
that.
No, no, no. He didn't. He's working with imperfection. That's it. That's what he's working with. So we have okay, let's so there is a part of the Bible in Deuteronomy 20 verses 15 through 18. I'm going to read really quick where you'll see where God sends people to kill all the men, women, and children. So this is Deuteronomy 20 verses 15 through 18. Something to keep in mind so that you could see this battle that we've been talking about between God and these giants. It says, thus you shall do to the cities which are very far from you. Um, but the cities of these peoples, which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, you shall let nothing that breathes remain alive, but you shall utterly destroy them: the Hittite, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Perizzite, and the Hittite, and the Jebusite, just as your Lord your God has commanded you, lest you teach you to according to their abominations to which they have done to their gods and their sin against the Lord of your God. So you hear all these tites, the Amorites. If you look up the Amorites, king of Bashan was actually an Amorite, right? So we have that. So we have these people that are Perizzites, Hivites. These are all like giant clans. So God is sending them to kill all the men, women, and children. So that happens there. I just want to have you guys understand that it does happen in the future in the Bible. That does happen. But what Levi and Simeon did, is not something that God would have them go and do. All right, this is different scenario. So. All right, so I want to just mention that to you guys and keep that in mind for later when we get to Deuteronomy. So, all right, so Jacob's returned to Bethel. Then God said to Jacob, "Arise, go to Bethel and dwell there, and make an altar there to God." So we're on Genesis 35:1. If you guys are following along, who appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother. And Jacob said to his household and to all that were with him, "Put away the foreign gods that are among you, purify yourselves, and change your garments." So I think that's interesting. So uh, you see that even right there, they have foreign gods,
Because they commingled.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the women of the other nations brought in. You know how women are, dude. Like, hey, you know,
Exactly. Yeah, this is
come
true.
on, come
Yeah,
on. It's all right. Just
yeah,
just go ahead. It's your God is God, but this is how I practice. And men are sure it's all right. Yeah, she's pretty. It's all good. It'll be good together. And that's why you see the lowercase g's in there instead of the uppercase g's. And this is pretty serious stuff. Like you do not. That's why God said, do not do this. Do not commingle with always be equally yoked with your partner, because if you start bringing in other things, that's not godly. It could defile you, and it's also defile yourself.
yeah. Yep. And we don't realize like that, those things obviously don't have power over God, but sometimes they have power over people, where they let's say you do tell your wife, hey, I'm gonna get rid of this mermaid, or I'm gonna get rid of this, or I'm gonna get rid they start getting mad at you, like, and offended. Like, who do you think you are? Like it actually gets an attachment to these type of things, and that's what it becomes a problem, so yeah, put away your foreign gods that are among you, purify yourselves, and change your garments, is what Jacob is saying here. And Bethel, it means the house of God. All right. So um, then let us arise and go to Bethel, and I will make an altar there to God, who answered me in the day of my distress and has been with me in the way which I have gone. Um, so they gave Jacob all the foreign gods which they were in the hands, and the earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them underneath the terebinth tree, and which was by Shechem. So it's like he's literally they're giving him all the earrings. Like Jason said, they were commingling. They had different gods, and even 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 Rachel, she brought even Rachel brought some gods from remember she I don't know, Jay, if you remember that story, but when from Laban, she even brought some, and that's like basically like a will, and they're like these little they were like these little I don't know, they don't know if they were little figures or what they were,
Yeah,
little
yeah,
altars.
little
Yeah, yeah.
little idols, little idols.
Little idols. There you go. Yeah. So she brought it. So, it's you see that but those are like a will. That was for her to get the land, but still they said that, it's kind of similar to this right here, this little story. So they're
Everything. Get rid
yeah,
of it. Do not
yeah.
bring one thing with you. I don't
Yep.
care what it is. Just like in Saul, when God said to kill all the cattle, all the everything, what did he do? He brought back their he killed everything, but he brought back their livestock. And that's like it's like, hey, dude, I didn't tell you to do that. And you're not listening to me. You don't you're not listening to the reason why I'm telling you not to do this, because you have to get rid of it all. You have to give it all back. You have to get rid of everything that makes you not coincide, like not be closer to God. It's gonna every little thing is you're gonna reminisce about it. You're like, oh man, I remember I had that. That was I wish I had that back. That was my good luck charm, man. What the heck did I do with that? Why did I lose that?
Yeah.
It's not a good luck charm. You're in a world of hurt, and there's no reason for you to be worried about a little idol or some earrings.
Yeah. Or a rosary or something like that. So
Yes, it's simple. Yes, exactly. Like a rosary, or like me
you
and my
might
wife.
not want to drive. Like, I don't have my rosary. I don't want to drive. Or,
Yep, me
or
and my
like, I
wife.
don't have this. I didn't get to do this. Like, I know I have my little things too with my wife. We're not equally yoked
You
100% either, bro.
100%. And my wife, she's like, why aren't we, why aren't we like, you know, why aren't we being more together on stuff like this? Because I said, because sometimes when I try to talk to you about the Bible, you take, because when we were reading this, studying this, I was looking up Sarah, and Sarah's the only woman in the Bible where her age, death, and her burial are mentioned. No other woman in the Bible has those three mentioned for her, right? And then she's like, well, what about Mary? I said, well, Mary, they don't mention a lot about that. She's like, well, she was highly favored. I said, yes, she was highly favored, but the reason why she was chosen was because she was very like the name was common. Everything about her was common. But the only reason she got chosen is because she was in the line of David, a certain part of the line of David, and so was Joseph was a part of
Yeah.
the line of David, and it's like that's the reason why they chose each other. And
Yeah.
and she's like, well, how come this? I said, see, now you're putting her here. You're making her story more important than Jesus' story, because you just want to keep, the mom. It's like, no, yes, she was this. Yes, she was that, but she's not. That's not the part of the story. That's the reason why I don't think she's very mentioned very much after like a certain amount of time. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So it's like some people, I get it. It's good to have knowledge about that part of the story, but that's not important.
Yeah.
You're not getting the whole thing. You're not getting the fact that people in here are mentioned, but some are very important and some are not. It's just I don't get why. I never knew why Sarah's all her stuff is mentioned like that, not other women in the Bible. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
it's just a weird thing.
Well, it's a very important for for the
It's an
Abrahamic
honor.
covenant and all this stuff. There's a lot to it. Yeah, yeah. When we were going through that, I think I mentioned that. So very
It's an honor for
interesting.
that, I guess. And it is
Of
very interesting.
course. And then as you guys know, up to this point, this is all coming from God. This whole story, everything that's happening here is coming from God because Moses is not alive during this time, and God is giving Moses a firsthand account from God. So all this stuff is super interesting. So, all right, so we have Genesis 35:5. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were all around them, and they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came. So as you see, God is still with Jacob, right? God is still backing him up. It says that uh, terror or fear of God was upon the cities around them. So they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. So God is with them and obviously causing that fear right? So so that they don't pursue Jacob, because there's a promise to Jacob. God has a promise, and God blessed Jacob, and there's so much to it that we have a promise too that we need to understand. That we have Jesus. So we just don't realize our promise, or our talents or anything. Sometimes we just forget about that and go into sin, and then we have to come back. So we don't understand either. So I can't really blame Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, and he and all the people who were with him. And he built an altar there and called the place El Bethel, because there God has appeared to him when he fled from the face of his brother. So God appeared. So this is interesting too, man. You're seeing, in John it says no one has seen the invisible God, right? But you're seeing that God is appearing to these people, even to Abraham, and so that's why I think that these are Christophanies of Jesus in the Old Testament appearing to these men, and I think that's what that is. El Bethel, I think it's the house of God. I believe that's what that means, or God's house.
Bethel. Oh, like
Bethel, sorry, not Bethel.
Bethlehem is the house of bread. I don't know. I maybe Bethel's, you know.
Yeah, I think that Chuck Missler was saying that when I was studying this part. I could check it out though. Genesis 35, verse 5. Let's see. Genesis 35, verse 5. Right. Is that what that is? Bethel. House of Bethel. Uh, yeah. So Bethel means house of God. Yeah. So yeah, I think I was right on that. So yeah, El Bethel means house of God. So now Deborah, Rebecca's nurse, died and she was buried below Bethel. Oh, hold on. Did I? Yeah, I think did
Yeah, you're
I?
good. Let
Okay.
me skip it.
All right. Below Bethel under the tabernacle tree. Okay. So now Deborah, Rebecca's nurse, died, and she was buried below Bethel under the terebinth tree. So the name of it was called Elon Bekoth. Then God appeared to Jacob again, and he came from Padan Aram and blessed him. And God said to him, "Your name is Jacob. Your name shall not be called Jacob anymore, but Israel shall be your name." So he said, so he called his name Israel. And God said to him, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall proceed from you, and kings shall come from your body. And the land which I have gave Abraham and Isaac, I give to you and your descendants after you. I give this land." So this is like the Abrahamic covenant being, you know, being told
Redone. Yeah.
to him again, right? And also, very interesting that they talk about kings, and kings shall come from your body, right? So sometimes when it comes to Saul and all that stuff, I think I've said it. I think Jason has said it too, where they were begging for a king, but it's actually prophetic. There's more to that. That kings shall come from your body. So I think that's interesting. And it says, "Then the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac I give to you, and descendants after you I give this land." Then God went up from him in a place where he had talked with him. So Jacob set up a pillar in that place where he talked with him, a pillar of stone, and poured a drink offering on it, and he poured oil on it. And Jacob called the name of this place God had spoke with him, Bethel, or house of God, right? So very interesting. Now we have the death of Rachel. So I think earlier we were talking about that there's only 11. Now we're gonna find out the 12th, the 12th child. It
And
says,
Benjamin is Paul was a Benjamite. Benjamin was a pretty down ass dude, man. He's pretty cool.
yeah,
I
he's
like this
pretty,
one. I
yeah,
like this
yeah,
one. It's awesome.
yeah. So then they journeyed from Bethel, and there was a little distance to go in Aprath. Rachel labored in childbirth, and she had hard labor. Now it came to pass that she was in hard labor, that the midwife said to her, "Do not fear, you will have this son also." And it was and so it was, her soul was departing from her, she died. She called his name Ben Ani, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel
Benjamin.
died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a pillar on her grave, that which is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. Now that is Moses saying that there's a pillar of Rachel's grave to this day, right? So Moses is saying that there was still to his day, uh, was that grave was there, and you as you guys know, throughout the story that we've been going, that Rachel, like, this is his love, this is Jacob's love, this is the one that he loves so much. And you could imagine how much hurt this was for her to die like this, and and also I don't know how many people have been through this, but to have your wife go through labor and then die just to have your son, man, what a interesting thing, man. It's very sad, but honorable thing for a woman to do, to have a son and pass away during it, during the birth, because nowadays they could be told like, hey, this child is going to kill you. Can you imagine being in that position, dude? Like where they say, this child's going to kill you, or you're going to die, either the child or you. And being in that position would be so crazy, man. So it says, then Israel journeyed and pitched his tent, Israel being Jacob. Okay, guys. Then Israel journeyed and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Adar. And then it happened when Israel dwelt in the land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. So now, Israel being Jacob heard about it. So he's kind of trying to get like an edge. It's like when they do this, it's like them trying to be like
It's like the
stronger
young
than their
lion.
father.
It's like the young lion trying to take on the old lion, and the old
There
lion
you
is
go.
like still there. But doesn't Benjamin mean my right hand? And I think that's going to be later on in the story. It's going to be kind of prophetic. It's kind of, and that's crazy. Yeah, you're right. Because if you had a son that killed your love of your life, like being born, it would be I don't know, maybe I would not. You'd have to probably really either really love this kid or you might resent him. So who
Yeah.
knows how you would feel about it?
So Benjamin, yeah, since he changed his name to Benjamin, Jason's right. It says the son of the right hand.
Yes,
Yep,
the
there
right
you
hand of
go.
God. You know what I'm saying? That's like it's prophetic. It's pretty cool. Everybody's name in the Bible means something, and it's the reason why they were named that. There's a reason why they're named that.
Mhm. Well, if you put all of them together, right, it points to Jesus, right? Coming,
Yeah, a
real
lot of stuff
interesting,
does,
super interesting. Jesus is on the page of all the Old Testament, guys. Just to let you guys know, it's he's all through here. So,
especially
um,
Genesis.
yeah. So now, okay, so basically, Reuben came in, slept with his father's concubine, and concubine you might think is a whore or something like that, but it actually is like it's like a second wife. It's not like what people think. Some people
But
think
think about it
concubines are
though.
just
It's against God's not to do that, but God still let him do it. But that's what happens. You do things like that and get, have three, four, or five wives. You're there's problems that are going to come with this, and that's why you get these kind of problems. Like your kid, your own son comes and sleeps with your one of your basically. She's not I feel like I've learned this when you have sex relations with a woman. I think that's when you're married, and I've done it many times where now I just my wife is my wife and that's what I'm going to be with. But before, if you think about it, like you're switching DNA with somebody all the time. And that's not, I don't think that's what God at all wants, but this is
no,
what
you could see. Yeah, when Isaac, the way that he got married is they went in the tent and they made love,
consummate
and
the
now
consummated
they're
marriage.
consummated, and now they're married, and that's the way it was. They're not going to allow, like, even Laban, like he didn't allow Jacob to lay with his wife, or his wife to be. He didn't allow that, so he allowed him to lay with Leah. Now that made him his wife. And that is how it was. And that's what it is. So when we went and slept with all these women, like Jason's talking about, we married all these women. We became one with them and we didn't know that. Now we know that. So now if we do that, because and everybody that's listening, you guys know that too now. So now that you can be held accountable for it. So that's one thing when we're going over the
Repent.
Bible, for you guys, it's one thing just to sit and listen, but you are actually being exposed to information now where you will be held accountable, especially if you're paying intuitive attention to the stuff we're talking about. So yeah, it's really interesting when you go through this and you see certain patterns like Jason's talking about and stuff like that. So, all right, we'll go back to Genesis. It says, we'll go back to the scripture now. Jacob's 12 sons. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, Levi, Judah, Ishar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Ziphlath, Leah's maidservant, were Gad and Asher. They were the sons of Jacob who were born in him in Padam Aram. The death of Isaac. So now they're going to talk about the death of Isaac. Then Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre and Kirjath Arba and his Hebron, which where Abraham and Isaac had dwelt. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years. So Isaac breathed his last and died, and gathered his people, being old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. So he ended up living to 180 years. As you guys understood the story, I think he was like 60 when he thought he was going to pass away. Remember, Jay? He started trying to give the blessing to Esau and give it to Jacob or whatever. He ended up giving it to Jacob. He was 60, but he was blind, right? He couldn't see. So they thought he was maybe in a tough predicament back then, like he might be sick, and he was trying to give that blessing away because he thought he was going to die. But look, he ended up living to 180 years, so yeah, lived a long time. And it says Esau and Jacob had buried him. So we have that. Now we're going to go to Genesis 36. If you guys are following along, and we're going to find out about the family of Esau, which is going to be interesting. So let me switch in my Strong's Concordance in case I need to look up any words. There we go. All right. So we'll continue. Anything you want to talk about Genesis 35, Jay?
Well, when you're going through both of these genealogies and like that, you got the promise to the spirit, and then you got the promise to the flesh. These two will coincide, but they will always be at war with each other, no matter what, because that's what the prophecy says. And when you go to the family Esau, look, you got the Hittites, you got the Edomites, you got a lot of stuff. You got a lot of people that that I think this is where you get a lot of Islam. The Nation of Islam comes out of these things, and the
Arabians,
Arabians and
Egyptians.
Egyptians
Yeah.
were if you notice that when you hear they say they are Jews, which they are not, they are the synagogue of Satan. You get this commingling of these people, and they have lineage that dates back to their Jewish heritage, but it's so watered down that they just they use it to get by. That's what I guess what it is. And they're nowhere. They've clung to the worldly ways, they clung to the flesh, and they have let it go. Like it's just it's crazy because genealogies, everyone thinks like, oh man, it's boring. Like you go through and it's like you got Amalek, begat this, begat that, begat that, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna burn through this real quick. Okay, get past all that. But when you go through and you start to find out, you'll go through the lineage and okay, well, if you go back to the New Testament, you'll see, oh wow, this person was in Jesus's lineage.
Yeah.
This person was in Jesus' lineage, and you look at it, you're like, oh man, some of these people were Gentiles.
In his
So
lineage.
yes, in
Yeah.
his lineage, and not good people. Some of these people are not good. Like they
Yeah.
lied, cheat, did all these things to get this lineage to go through. But you start to see how the promise to Abraham and the promise to him can always is for everybody, not just for the Jewish nation. You see what I'm saying? Because it's commingled so much. It's kind of like God saying, "I told you not to do it, but it happens. But now I want everybody has this chance to be a part of this. Everyone does,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just the promise to the Jews and stuff."
Yeah. And King Herod is during Jesus' time is actually an Edomite. He's one of
Yep.
the most famous Edomites in the New Testament you'll see. So very interesting, man. All right, so let's go to the family of Esau. And also, it's a good way to track the giants, the Hittites and the Amorites and all this stuff. That's another way to track that bloodline when you start reading through these things. And then that's when you find out, like, wow, there's more to this than, if pastors would dig a little deeper sometimes and get into that side so people understand why men, women, and children of the tribe are being killed and animals. Okay. So the family of Esau. Now, this is the genealogy of Esau, who is of Edom. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which is a giant nation. You guys should understand that. Bimelah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zebulun and Hivite. Hivites were also a giant tribe, and Bashmath, Ishmael's daughter. So that's the time that Esau ended up going with Ishmael's line, because he thought that would please his father, because he saw Jacob was sent back to for Lebanon to get his wife. So he was thinking like, hey, this is going to please my family, but he's still with Ishmael's line. That's not what they wanted.
You know what's crazy is that Ishmael was a hunter, a master of the bow. Esau was a hunter, master like of the way he was. But if they're both God, even though they're evil in their ways, just like everybody else, but they worshipped other gods. They were still promised a nation, a big nation, just like Abraham was promised, just like Isaac was promised. These guys were promised too, and you know what God did? He held up his side of the bargain. He always holds up to his side of the bargain, and if you make a bargain, no matter what, and if he tells you not to make that bargain and you still do it, he's going to hold you accountable and make you go through with that. No matter what you do, you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for it no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah, and Ishmael's mom was told that the same exact promise from the angel of the Lord, as we went through that. We already went through that, so you guys know. And 12 princes were promised through Ishmael, which you said God held up his end of the bargain, and it happened. So yes, very true. Now Adah bore Eliphaz to Esau, and Bashmath bore Reuel, and Abinadab bore Jewish, Jamal, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau who were born in him in the land of Canaan. Then Esau took his wives, his sons, and his daughters, and all the persons of his household, his cattle and all his animals, and all his goods he had gained in the land of Canaan, and went to a country away from the presence of his brother Jacob. For their possessions were too great for them to dwell together, and the land and the strangers could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. Uh, Esau is Edom, or the Edomites. So yeah, you see that they separated. They just had too much. They had many. They had plenty. So I don't think they were, having too much in the same area, right? So they kind of split, and he went to Edom, and that's why they're called the Edomites. And it is the genealogy of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These were the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Besemath, the wife of Esau; and the sons of Eliphaz were Taman, Omar, Zephro, Gatam, and Kenaz. And then Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore Amalek and Eliphaz, and they were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. They were the sons of Reuel. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah, just say I'm sorry. We're gonna murder these names. We don't know.
Yeah,
Some of them are
Nahath and
very.
Zerah and Shema and Mizah, and they were the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife, and they were the sons of Abimelech, Esau's wife, the daughter of Anah, and the daughter of Zebulun, and she bore Esau Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. Thank you. We're finally through this little part. So we're doing this for a reason, dude. Faith comes by hearing the word of God, and God put this in here, so I'm going to continue reading it no matter what. Okay, guys. So these were the chief of the sons of Esau, the sons of
Eliphaz.
Eliphaz. There we go. And the firstborn son of Esau were Chief Teman, Chief Omar, Chief Zepho, Chief Kenaz, Chief Korah, Chief Gatam, and Chief Amalek. And they were the chiefs of Eliphaz in the land of Edom, and they were the sons of Adah. All right, and we'll continue. These were the sons of Reuel, or Esau's son, Chief Nerith, Zerah, Shemath, Chief Mazah. They were the chiefs of Reuel in the land of Edom, and they were the sons of Basmath, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Abimelech, Esau's wife, Chief Jush, Chief Jamal, Chief Korah. These were the chiefs descendants of Bimalamah, Esau's wife, and the son of Anah. These were the sons of Esau, who was of Edom, and they were the chiefs.
Hey,
We'll
this
go.
the other reason why God does this is because if you go through history and you look up these people, they're there.
Yeah, you'll see some of
You
it.
know what I
Yep.
mean? Yeah, you'll see some of them there. It's and that's the reason why they goes through this. But if you do go, there's some of these names you'll hear, like Amalek, you'll start to hear later on. You'll start to hear a lot of these other names that come through, and that's the reason why they tell you this stuff because it makes you seeing if you're really actually paying attention. You know, like it's. I know this is boring, but it's not. It's not. It's very interesting.
Yeah, because the Horites, right? That's a giant tribe. So I think that's interesting. So these were the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited the land. Latan, Shabal, Zabin, Anah, Dishah, Izar, and Dishan. They were the chiefs of the Horites, the son of Seir, the land of Edom. And the sons of Latan, who were Hori and the Heman. Uh, Latan's sister was Timnah, and the
Timna.
sons Timnah. Then there were sons of Shabal, Alavan, Batana, Ebal, Shero, and Anam. These were the sons of Zebian, both Ajah and Anah. They were the Anah found in the water in the wilderness as you pastured the donkeys, and the father of Zebian, and the children of Anah, Dishan, uh, Abimanah, the daughter of Anah. They were the sons Dishan, Haman, Eshban, Esran, Sharon. These are the sons of Ezar, Bilhan, Zavan, and Akan, and the sons of Dishan, Uz, and Aran. These are the chiefs of the Horites: Chief Latan, Chief Shobal, Chief Zibion, Chief Anah, Chief Dishon, Chief Izar, Chief Dishan. They were the chiefs of the Horites according to their chiefs in their land of Sar. All right, so
You're a Christian rapper, bro. Try to try to go through it. You're like
yeah.
Zibion and nah, da, da.
Yeah. I just want to go through these just in case you
Oh,
guys.
you
And
have
then
to,
the
bro. You have
kings of
to.
Edom. Okay, so now these are the kings of Edom, okay? The kings of Edom. Now these were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the children of Israel. Bala, the son of Bor, reigned in Edom. The name of the city was Dinhabah. And when Bala died, Jabab, the son of Ziar, and Bazar reigned in this place. And when Jabab died, Huzam, the land of the Temanites, reigned in his place. And when Hisham died, Hadad, the son of Bedad, who attacked Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in this place. And the name of the city was Avith. When Hadad died, Shemal Masakah reigned in his place, and when Samlah died, Saul the Rebbe by the river reigned in his place. When Saul died, Balhanan the son of Akbar reigned in his place, and when Balhanan the son of Akbar died, Hadar reigned in his place, and the name of the city was Pau. His wife's name was Mehebdabal, daughter of the Matrid, the daughters of Mezahab. Okay, now we have the chiefs of Esau. And these were the names of the chiefs of Esau according to their families and their places by their names: Chief Timah, Chief Allah, Chief Zebeth, Chief Alabilah, Chief Allah, Elha, Chief Pinion, Chief Kesnaz, Chief Tamian, Chief Mizbazar, Chief Magdiel, Chief Aram. There were the chiefs of Edom according to their dwelling place in the land of possession. Esau was the father of the Edomites. That's the main thing you got to understand, right? All these things. So, all right. So what we have is that's kind of just the whole line of Esau. They just kind of want to go over that so you can see what we're talking about. I don't have much meat there. Do I have anything for Genesis 36? Nope, just the patriarchs.
Yep,
That's all it is.
yep. It's
Patriarchs.
just showing you that this is Esau's nation, and this is where they dwell. This is their lineage, and then it goes right back to what it goes right back to
Now we're going
Jacob.
to Joseph. Yeah, now we're going back to Joseph right here, then Genesis 37. So Joseph dreams of greatness. Now Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. And this is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with the sons of Bala and the sons of Zelpah. his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report to them and to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children. So, as you know, because he loved his
That's
wife,
13 though, right? Instead of being 12 sons, that's 13, isn't it?
uh, because which
Joseph is the late son, isn't it?
well, Joseph, and then they had Benjamin, so that would be 12. I think that
Oh,
uh there's something, yeah, something that turns it into 13 tribes. I think I was listening to Chuck Mister talk about
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
can't remember what it is though. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than his children because he was the son, because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated
Jealousy.
him. Yeah, they could not speak peacefully to him. So, yeah, because Joseph obviously came from, the love of his life, that's the one of the reasons why. And that's also why Joseph was in the back when they were going to meet Esau, because they were put in the back, the furthest part of the back, because that's most important to him, so uh if whoever got killed first, they wanted to make sure that Joseph was in the back with his love. Now Joseph had a dream. He told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said, then behold, my chef arose and also stood. Oh, he said to them, please hear this dream which I have dreamed. And I'll understand, guys, he's only 17, right? So he's not like the most mature yet. You'll see with dreams that Joseph gets a lot more mature later, but he's not very mature with his dreams yet. It says, there we are binding shelves in the field. Then behold, my chef arose and also stood upright. Indeed, your sheaves stood all around and bowed down to my chef. So saying that all his brothers are gonna end up bowing down to him. And obviously his brothers at that time were already jealous of him. So this obviously didn't help the situation, right? And his brothers said to him, shall you indeed reign over us, or shall you indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. And then he dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers. Look, I have dreamed another dream, and at this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to me. So he told it to his father and his brothers, and the father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come and bow down to the earth before you? And his brothers envied him, and his father kept the matter in mind. So it says that even though his father was rebuking him right there, he did keep the matter in mind. Like, hey, he's going to keep it in the back of his mind. Obviously, he loved Joseph, and he just kept it. Just they put that in there for a reason, that his father kept that matter in mind. So let's see let's continue in the story. Then his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, or Jacob said to Joseph, are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them. And he said to him, here I am. And he said to him, please go and see if this well with your brothers and well with the flocks, and bring bring word to me. So we sent him to the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. Now a certain man found him, and there he was wandering the field. And a man asked him, saying, where are you seeking? What are you seeking? So he said, I am seeking my brothers. Please tell me where they're feeding their flocks. And the man said, they are departed from here. And they heard him say, let us go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. Now now they saw him afar off, even before he came near, and they conspired before him to kill him. And they said to one another, look, this dreamer is coming. Come, therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit, and we shall say some wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what will come before his dreams. But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him to their hands. Now Reuben is the eldest, right? So he heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands. And he said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said to him, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit, which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him, out of their hands and bring him back to his father. So, so it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers, they stripped Joseph of his tunic and the tunic of many colors which was on him, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, and there was no water in it. So we see what's happening here, man. They're jealous. He has that tunic that the father gave him. They stripped him of that and they threw him into a pit. Okay, guys. So
But look how God intervenes again. You know what I mean? Reuben was already doing stupid stuff before this, and God intervenes with the oldest guy saying, "Hey, nope, let's
yeah,
not do that because we might get caught doing this. So let's
let's
just
not shed blood, right? So
yes,
yeah, which
yes."
was not meant to happen. He
Because
wasn't
they
meant to
know that
die.
once you kill it, because of that's going to come back on you. So they're like, "Hey, if we don't kill him, likely nothing can come back on us."
Yeah, we'll see if he lives. We'll throw him in the pit where there's no water, and if he lives, he lives. Basically. So they throw him in there, and they sat down to eat a meal. They lifted their eyes and looked, and there was a company of Ishmaelites coming from Gilad with their camels, bearing spice, balm, Merith, and the way to carry them down to Egypt. So Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is there that we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother in our flesh." For his brothers listened, and then Midianite traders passed by. So the brothers pulled Joseph up, lifted him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. And they took Joseph to Egypt. So yeah, so very interesting, man. They ended up just saying, "Hey, we'll let him live. We'll sell him to the Ishmaelites."
And look where he's going. He's going to the most powerful place on that time, which is Egypt. And if when you go forward, this is parallels Daniel's life too. Same thing, rise to power in the nation. It's pretty. This is why I say prophecy is pattern in it's crazy. Ours is Gentiles is prediction fulfillment. This is prophecy is pattern fulfillment, and these are all. If you notice, Reuben Reuben lets him live, and they do that. They're saying here, if he's in his mind, if he is the dreamer that he is dreaming, and he's the one that if his little prophecies that he's telling us are true, I want to basically let's see if God helps him out. Let's see if he helps him out now. If he's favored amongst all this, let's see if it's going to happen. And going on the story, we will. It's just it does.
Yeah, it definitely gets interesting. And then Reuben returned to the pit, and indeed Joseph was not in the pit. And he tore his clothes and returned it to his brothers and said, "The lad is no more where I shall go." So they took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of the goats, which is like a baby goat, and dipped the tunic in the blood. And then they sent the tunic in many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, "We have found this. Do you know whether it is your son's tunic or not?" Just liars. And he recognized it and said, "It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Without doubt, Joseph is torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son for many days. And his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said, "For shall I go down to my grave to my son in mourning?" Thus my father wept for him. Yeah, so he's this is his son that he loved, and for them to come and tell him, give him this he's the one that sent Joseph, right, to go to his brothers. So he's probably feeling super bad about that. Um, it's just it's a whole sad situation that they did to him. And now the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Batar, an officer of the Pharaoh and captain of the guard. So keep that in mind. So we're at Genesis 37. We're going to continue to 38. And what it does is it goes from Joseph and switches to Judah now. So this is some interesting information. And there's a reason for this, which I'll go over in a little bit, why they go over this whole thing with Judah.
Yep. This is
You
this
guys
is
got
what
to
I'm
know.
talking about. The lineage of Jesus
Yeah.
is right in here,
Yep.
right there, and you
Exactly.
got you got some pretty shady stuff going on right here. And look at that, man. It is it's crazy, dude. The sun, the moon, and the stars. That's crazy. I was just reading that right on my Bible. Right on my bad. Sorry. It's
No,
just
no worries. So, okay, we got Judah and Tamar. So we'll probably try to get through this one. We'll finish up hopefully like around 7 or something. Yeah, it's like a 2 hour. Whenever I do the show, Jay, it's a 2 hour show. So I'm glad you're
I
sticking
didn't even
with
know
me.
that. I just thought you were still doing your other show. Now this is I didn't I've been always wanting to do this the whole time, and I don't know why we haven't been doing this more often.
Yeah, so guys, we're probably on my other show, Josh Monday Christian Conspiracy Podcast. We're either going to dip into Genesis and start doing this on my show as well, because I think it's profitable for people, man, for people to listen to the word. We've done so many different shows on on conspiracies and stuff that we want to jump to the Bible. So we're going to decide. Me and my brother are going to go over it. We'll talk about it tonight when he's over. Hopefully he comes over for the fight and we could chill and talk about it. So, all right. So we got Judah and Tamar. Okay. Now we're going to go to Judah's story. Okay. Which is very interesting, man. When I went over this, listening to Chuck Missler and a couple other pastors kind of teach on this, I remember just being like blown away. So it came to pass at the time that Judah departed from his brothers. And guys, just so you know, if you're following along, we're on Genesis 38:1. It says, and it came to pass at the time that Judah departed from his brothers and visited a certain Adulamite, whose name was Harah, and Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he married her and went into her. So she conceived and bore a son. So we have Judah marrying a Canaanite, right? I think that's interesting. He ends up marrying a Canaanite. So and it says, so she conceived and bore a son, and he called his son She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his son Anan. And she conceived again and bore a son named Shelah. And he was a Cheziv, and she bore him. And just so you guys know, the tribe of Judah is where Jesus is from, right? So we're going to go through that and find out. I know Jason mentioned that. Then Judah took a wife for her his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. So I think that's, you know, Judah's marrying Canaanite women, right? And having Canaanite kids. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord. It says that the Lord killed him, which I think is interesting, man. Like, what was this guy doing that so bad that the Lord ended up killing him? You know?
But the thing is that when someone's husband dies, the other family members have to come in and that have to take them on, and it's either a son is given to them, and it's crazy how this goes along. Just go keep reading it, and
Yeah, yeah.
it'll show you.
For sure. And Judah said to Onan, go into your brother's wife and marry her and raise up the heir to your brother. But Onan knew that the heir would not be his. And it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife that he admitted on the ground, lest he should give her heir to his brother.
So
So
he
he
pulled
basically,
out.
yeah, he pulled out and put it on the floor instead of actually, having a kid with her. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, therefore he killed him also. So yeah, he spilled his seed all over the floor, basically, is what this is, and he ended up killing him also. So then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow in your father's house till my son Shelah is grown, for he said, lest he also die like his brothers. And Tamar went and dwelt in their father's house. So we have that going on.
Do you see what God's already doing? So he kills Anan because that dude was wicked, but Anan didn't think the heir would be his, but this displeased the Lord because he's probably has a plan going on, and Anan is like not going towards his will. So who knows that whatever kid might have came out of Anan and Tamar.
Yeah.
That's why God's like, dude, you're not doing what you're hold up your end of the bargain, which is a law in your guys' nation that I set before you. So now you're later.
Yeah. And
You
being
didn't trust
killed.
in me later. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yeah.
gone. So
Yep. And God didn't even like the fact that he probably married a Canaanite anyway. So if
yeah,
they're not listening,
it was already
yeah.
disobeying it. So, but there's a reason. But you
Yeah.
might have disobeyed, but the bad that's going out of this is all going to be coming good.
Yeah. Now, in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up to his sheep shearers in Timnah, and he his friend Harah and the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, look, your father-in-law is going to Timnah to share his sheep. And she took off her widow's garments, covered herself with the veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in the open place which was on the way to Timnah. And for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a harlot because she had covered her face. And then he turned to her by the way and said, please let me come into you. And he did not know that she was his daughter in law. So we got to understand that she went there as a harlot. Basically, what
Tricking.
that means, yeah, how long you been tricking for? So,
Well, she's
anyways,
tricking him, dude.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because no
She's
one's
dressed
giving
like a
her a man.
prostitute. Yeah, she's dressed
Yeah.
like a prostitute. She's got the veil on. He can't really see her face. Probably looking beautiful. Probably smelling all beautiful and yeah. So she said, "Will you? What will you give me, and that you may come into me?" And he said, "I will send a young goat from the flock." So she said, will you give me a pledge till you send it? And then he said, what pledge shall I give you? So she said, your signet cord, your staff that is in your hand. Then he gave them, okay, so we got to understand the signet cord. It's like the signet is like your signature. It's something that, like, let's say if you're sending a letter, you put a signet. It's like, if you that's what they used to have, like almost like a stamp. So
They
that's
know
like
it's you.
they know it's you. Yeah. So by
100%.
by her taking this, this is a way for the people to know.
Like
Later
prove.
on, you'll see
Yep.
proof of
Prove.
who she got this from, and that's proof to him as well. So your signet and cord, your staff that is in your hand. Then he gave them to her and went into her, and she conceived by him. So she arose and went away and laid aside her veil and put her garments of her widowhood. So, man, it's crazy. And Judah sent the young goat by the hand to his father and to Adulamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand. And he did not find her. Then he asked the men of the place, where is the harlot who was openly on the roadside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. So he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. Also, the men of this place. So there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, let her take them for herself, lest we be ashamed. For I sent a young goat, and you have not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after Judah was told, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has played the harlot, and further she is with a child by harlotry. So this is a lot of, like I said, Game of Thrones stuff, man.
He's like, you gotta find her because she has my signet and she's a whore. So if she does, you don't find that, and then somehow they come prove that he was doing this, it's gonna look ashamed upon himself.
Yeah.
And now it's even worse.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now
It's
it's even
worse.
way worse.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really bad. And also you see that that he gets mad at his daughter-in-law for playing the harlot, but you'll see what happens. But like I
Well,
said, man, this
because he's
is
supposed to give him another, he's supposed to give her another son
yeah,
to marry her, but he keeps giving them. They're all dying. So he's like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna give you no more because something's wrong with you. Something's wrong. Like there's like you're not everything. Every kid, every son I give you ends up dead. So what do you want me to do?
yeah. So Judah said, bring her out and let her be burned. Okay, so Judah is acting like he is he's good here and be like, okay, well, she played harlot, bring her out, let her be burned, right? So they're gonna burn her. It's crazy. When she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man to whom these belong, I am the child. I am
I'm
with
with child.
child. And she said, please determine those that are the signet and the cord of the staff. So Judah acknowledged them and said, she has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah, my son, and he never knew her again. So this is what we have here. We have she's showing him the signet and the cord, and now he's feeling condemned, dude. Like, whoa,
Well,
I can't
because he
believe
was
I just
supposed
did
to
it.
do what he was supposed to do, and that's what, like you said, I did not give him shit on my son. He, she's right. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And it says, now it came to pass at the time of giving birth that behold, twins were in her womb. And so it
again,
was. Yeah, again. Yep. Two nations. When she was giving birth, the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, this one came first. Then it happened that he drew back in his hand, and his brother came out unexpectedly and said, how did you break through? This breach be upon you. Therefore, his name was called Perez. And
the house of
afterward,
Perez.
yeah, and afterward, his brother came out who had the scarlet thread in his hand, and his name was Zerah. So just so you guys know, this is Perez, the house of David, right? Basically, that's where David came through, and that's where Jesus's line came through. So you
There's a
see,
prophecy about that. It says I forgot where it's at. I think it's in Jeremiah. I think it's just it's like 10 generations from the house of Perez will be that's where the line will be. And like you said, this is all this stuff right here was out of sneakiness, lying, cheating, all of it. And you know, playing the man for a fool, and also Judah being, you know, the way he was because he didn't hold up his side of the bargain. And you're getting a bastard child out of the line of out of the line of David.
yeah, you see like what God has to work with. You know, you see us as humans, what we do, and God has to work with imperfect people to make perfection. You know, so like you said, you know that He's using the evil for good. You know, and when I was reading this, I was surprised. I was very surprised by how Perez came and ends up being in a Messiah's lineage. That's
Yep, because
really
that's the
interesting.
second born child that is always promised the blessing.
Yeah, but it's
That's
supposed to be like traditionally it's supposed to be the firstborn, right? But it ends up being the secondborn getting the blessings, right? Like with
yes,
Jacob and
yes,
man, it's just
because the firstborn is always the flesh. So sorry, man, I'm screwed up.
Jason's firstborn flesh, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're not twins, you know. But yeah, so super interesting stuff. So I'm gonna save Joseph for next week because I have a guest coming on. We could probably read just Genesis 39. We'll kind of go over this real quick, and then I'll probably go back to Genesis 39 with the guests that I have on. I have JT follows JC coming on next week. He wants to go over the story of Joseph. So we'll probably just go over this right now, me and Jason, and then we'll probably go back to Genesis 39 when I have JT on next week. So we'll have that. Do I have any notes for Genesis 39? Nope. I don't have anything to go over for
But
um
think about it, when you read this Joseph Genesis 39, you can go through this, and then if you go through the book of Daniel, exactly how he was taken from a land, sold into slavery, and rose up the ranks to be
in Babylon, yeah. Rose
this
up the ranks in
again.
Babylon.
Yep, Egypt is basically the Babylon back then, and you're rising up the ranks there and become, you know, basically the right hand of the Pharaoh. Same thing with Daniel, rose up the ranks. Actually, he came through two nations to be, you know, high up there in two different very powerful nations, and that's pretty hard, you know, to be trusted by and a lot of things that Joseph does, like his dreams, interpreting. Daniel does the same thing.
Yep.
Again,
Nebuchadnezzar, yep.
yep, prophecy is pattern, and if you start to learn this, you start to understand, man, that prophecy is pattern. So if you start to see these things, if any prophecies are told later on in life, you're gonna start looking for patterns. You're looking for the same type of stuff that was going on back then, which is going to be going on today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. So all right, well we'll go to Genesis 39 and we'll start at Genesis 39 1. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him to the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house and the master of of the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord made all he did to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Then he made him an overseer of the house, and that all that he had put under his authority. So it was from the time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had. And the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and the field. And he had left all that he had in Joseph's hand. And he did not know that he had except for the bread which he had ate. So the Lord is with Joseph, man. Just like he's with Jacob, he's with Joseph here. And he's
Yeah,
blessing us.
but the Pharaoh sees that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're looking at the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh is recognizing, hey, his God is with him. Probably he's thinking it's kind of like Nebuchadnezzar did. Hey, your God is the real God. So you are blessed. It's like totally blessed. Like he's not going to change his ways. He's gonna go ahead and believe his own in his own God, just like that. But basically, Pharaoh thinks he's God. But to recognize a man of power like that, recognizing that says a lot about who the Lord really is. Like you got some
Yeah.
guy that was sold into slavery, rising up the ranks like that. That means he sees something in him that's different.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's especially when he interprets his dream and everything. So it gets really interesting. So now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. So just so you guys know, like you see that Rachel, Rebecca, Sarah, all these people are attractive people, and it looks like Joseph had was also handsome in form and appearance. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all these that he to my hand. Um, there was no greater in the house, nor has he kept back anything from me but you." So basically, he trusted him with everything, and Joseph knew that. And Joseph was only like, I think they say like they're estimated like around in his 20s right here. He was 17 right when he got taken into slavery, and they kind of said that he's like around in his 20s here, so he's still a young man. And for him to be this mature, you know that the Lord was walking with him, so it says that there is no greater one in the house, nor that he has kept back anything from me, because you are his wife. How can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So not only is it a sin against the Egyptian leader or Egyptian's house, it's also a sin against God. And he's recognizing that here, which I think is interesting. So what was as he spoke to Joseph day by day that he did not heed her to lie with her or be with her. So he is avoiding her at all cost, avoiding
Just
the
sexual
sin.
immorality, bro. You run away.
Yes.
You don't stick it. But he's still got that. He's still got that discipline to say no. Like hey, she's talking to him every day, trying to wear him down, trying to wear him down. But but Joseph knows, hey, God helped me out of so much situation and problems in my life. I could be dead right now. I'm not going to mess this up. I want to stay where I'm at because there's a reason why. And he still believed in his dream. Like, hey, I'm gonna prove my brothers wrong. I'm gonna
Yeah.
find I'm gonna do this. This is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and he could tell that God is with him, the land is all the stuff that's happening with him, and
God
I
is
just
probably
like the
so
fact,
pleased right there. He's like, dang, dude, you man,
what kind of faith do you have if it cannot be tested, right? So obviously
good
his
job,
faith is
buddy.
being tested
Good
right here.
job,
So
buddy.
but it happened about this time when Joseph went into the house to do his work that none of the men of the house was inside. So now we have a problem, right? So he has a plan. Every time he goes into that house, he makes sure that men are around so that he doesn't get caught in this predicament. But he does go in the house knowing that that's one thing I think he made a mistake. Is
99 out of
none
100
of the
men would
men
probably do it.
yeah,
Would probably
not
do it.
none of the men of this house was inside. So then she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and ran outside. And so it was when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside that she called to the men of her house, spoke to them, saying that she has brought us that see, he has brought into us a Hebrew to mock
Ooh.
us. He came into me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it happened when he had heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. So now this little lying woman is trying to say that Jacob basically lied with her or slept with her, tried to sleep with her, and basically tried to rape her. So I think this is
Is this
uh,
point? I don't think they mentioned that he's a Hebrew there before that. So she's screaming out, look, she brought us a slave Hebrew dude in here
to
to
mock
mock
us.
us.
Yeah, he
He ain't
came in
supposed
to
to be
lie
this
with
high in the
me.
ranks. He's not supposed to be this high up here. What is he doing? Well, he's mocking us. And
Yeah,
this girl is seriously conniving and that's just mean. Like, man, just because he won't give it up,
yeah,
man,
yeah,
that's
and
hard.
she's the one trying to entice him, and she is such a conniver that she ends up taking his garment and knowing that she would bring death upon him, and for him to for her to wish death upon him is terrible just for not sleeping with her, but you see the devil's involved right here, trying
Trying
to
to kill the line of
scheme.
David, trying to
You
kill the
see,
line.
you see how the devil gets involved. It's like a cosmic chess match, which as we're going through, and we see that you know, uh, Judah was being tempted by this harlot. He thinks, tempted by sexual immorality, and then he ends up sleeping with her. And then see this cosmic chess match is happening, and this is part of it. With Joseph, the devil knows that God is with Joseph, and now he's tempting this woman to try to lie with Joseph, and knowing that the way that you separate Joseph from God is sin, and the devil knows that. He knows that that's what separates you from God. So that's what they're trying to do. And then what did he do when he's presented with sexual immorality? He ran, he fled, and it says in James that if you're presented with sexual immorality or sexual sin or from the devil, what do? You flee, you run. So that's what Joseph did here. So it's something we should learn from.
And when the devil can't get you, he brings a woman. That's the most that's you have to think like if you're in a situation where you're doing really good and you're high up there and you're doing real well in life and he can't and God hasn't and the devil hasn't messed with you and any can mess with anything, believe you me, bro, he will send you a woman of your most everything that you ever wanted in life. She will be that woman, and but she's not that's and if you're already committed to another woman, this is the where you'll get this is where it comes along because all through the Bible, right, it does have the same situational problems. It's like always has to do
Yeah.
with another beautiful woman.
The lust of the flesh, the
The
lust of
lust of
the
the
eyes.
eyes.
Oh, it's
Yep.
hard, man. And like that's why you see some of the pastors falling to women or shoot in my times, even the same thing, man.
Everybody. It's a
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard for men, but we see here that Joseph was standing firm, was
In his
being
20s,
tempted.
bro, where he's the most like you know what I
That's
mean?
where we
That
mess up. That's where we mess
yeah,
up the most
yeah. You're like your
during these
most
ages.
testosterone. You want to just have, and you're good looking, so you look in the mirror every day. People look at you like you're good looking, like they know that,
Yeah.
and you're good looking. But
And they
to have
presented
that,
the, and God said that for a reason, that Joseph was handsome, right? So that
that's why
you
he
know
points it
that.
out.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it says, so she kept his garment with her and his we're gonna go back to the verse. It says, so she kept his garment with her until his masters came home. Till his master came home. And she spoke to him with words like saying, the Hebrew servant whom you have brought to us came in to me to mock me. So it happened as I lifted my voice and cried out that he left his garment with me and fled outside. So, the husband has nothing to do but to believe her, not knowing that she's a little deceitful like this. So it was when his master heard his words, which his wife had spoke to him, your servant did to me after this manner, that his anger was aroused. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into prison and a place where the king's prisoners were confined. And he was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners whom were in the prison, whatever they did there, it was his doing. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority, because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. So even in this prison, okay, so here's the crazy thing. So Joseph was being obedient to the Lord. Joseph didn't do anything with this woman, and Joseph still ended up in prison. But you see that God was still with him. God ended up making him the keeper of the prisoners, and ended up him being like high ranking in the prison. But he spent a lot of time in prison, guys. So it's not like when you live life, like you're obedient to the Lord and your life's going to be blessed and you're just going to be happy all the time. It's not how it is being a Christian. When you become Christian, that's when the battle begins. I think a lot of people think that, this prosperity gospel and stuff that people get, they think that you become a Christian and then all of a sudden you're just happy go lucky every day. And then that's when it ends. But actually, you're saying what Jesus says is you're born again. You're born again, and now you're starting as a child again and starting to the battle begins, dude, if that makes sense to anybody listening. It's not like you become a Christian, you're obedient, and then your life just is easy. Look at Job, our faith is going to be tested as we go through life, and God is not tempting us, but we're being tested, and he's shaping us and he's forming us. And as you see with Joseph here, even though he was obedient to God, God is still going to use that evil from that woman for good, just like we talked about earlier. And I
But he
think
could have
it's
been killed by Pharaoh. He could have did that. Could have did a snap of his finger, and he's gone. But he kept him alive in prison. Why?
Yeah, and we're not to Pharaoh yet, Jason. I think that like I know you're talking about. This is like the Egyptian. This is like the higher up, right, of the
Oh, that
Pharaoh.
well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right
It's
though. The Pharaoh could have, like you said, he could have just killed him, and he is in the prison of the Pharaoh, so he could have just had him killed. But it keeps reassuring you and letting you know that the Lord is with Joseph,
it has a
and
plan.
and we got to understand too that the Lord is with us. God is with us, and sometimes we forget about that. And like I said, we can't judge these people because we have the same promises and we forget daily, and what is it that could separate us from God is sin, so I think it gets interesting. So we just have a few minutes here. I'm not gonna jump to Genesis 40 because I want to go over that next week, but you know I think this is a definitely interesting. I'm gonna just stop sharing screen here. All right, there we go. So yeah, man, I think it was interesting, man. I like this whole thing, dude, and I think we'll end up doing this on our show, bro. We'll have a few guests here and there like we normally do, but we're gonna try to hit on the Bible as much as we can on our other show and see what we could do. But anything you want to tell the audience, bro, about what we read? Anything you want to kind of go over?
Yeah. I heard this the other day. It's pretty cool. Well, actually, I heard it yesterday. It made me. It kind of ties into what we're talking about. It says the worst sin that was ever been committed on this earth was the murder of the Son of God. The best thing that ever happened on this earth was the death of the Son of God. So if God can take the worst thing and turn it to the best thing, he can even take your sin, your disappointments, and even your foolishness and turn it to for good. So God has granted you a unique road to heaven. There are turns in heaven, or turns to heaven. There'll be mountaintops where you can see the view, and there's dark valleys to where it's cold and awful. And there's a unique journey just for you. It's all decided by the same love, which is first given to you in the first place. Don't grumble about the road because it's the road uniquely leading you down because it's exactly the road designed by him to bring you safely to heaven.
Mm, yeah,
So everything you think you do or that happens in life, it doesn't matter because it'll
yeah,
all come for good.
yeah,
And I've been asking myself that a lot lately. And it's a powerful message, dude. And
yeah,
I didn't get
yeah,
directly into it, but your life will have turns and problems and ups and downs. But
yeah.
sorry, man. Like I've just been
It's okay.
thinking about that.
It's all right. Going through a lot. I know, man. Yeah. There's a lot of turns, a lot of and as we know with a lot of people in the Bible, God, uses people like Jacob, for example. There's no perfect people, no perfect marriages, no perfect families, no perfect churches. Jacob was a liar, he was a runner, a cheater, a pretender, a deceiver. Even his name, like heel grabber, his name was, deceiver. God forgave him for his sins and used him. So there's imperfect people that God, like I said, is trying to bring perfection with. Um, I think
But think
it's
about that, man. Even your sin, dude, even your foolishness, whatever you do, it doesn't matter. If you could keep that faith and everything and repent and you're gonna stumble, dude, no matter what. But that stumble could lead you even closer and closer to God. So just because you're in prison, just because you're homeless, just because maybe one of your children pass away or something comes of that,
Yeah.
it's because there's a reason for that, and you don't know the reason, you don't know why, and you don't question it. You don't grumble, dude, about your road. It's your road, not my road. It's not Josh's road. It's not anybody else's road to go down by yourself. But travel it, and and you'll find out that's like, wow, man, I stayed faithful. Everyone that stays faithful to the Lord, David, all these people, they were favored by God, and their problems arose just like everyone else's. And you
Yeah.
can relate to that. Joseph had problems. All these people had problems, but they're all, dude, it's everyone who's blessed in the Bible had serious issues to get there. And
Yeah.
not everybody is the same. And just because it's very dark and awful,
Yes.
um, there's it's gonna be it's always good. And if people don't understand, they think they're stuck in that awfulness and it's gonna stay there. Yeah, you're gonna stay there if you keep on doing that. You're gonna it's gonna get worse. But don't grumble, man. Don't complain. Just put your boots strap on, strap them up, and move forward and keep going forward.
Hold- Give me
What's up?
1 second.
Oh, no
My
worries,
daughter,
man.
my daughter just came down. Hold on, baby. Let me finish. Okay, we got another 2 minutes here. Um,
It went by fast, so I didn't think I was gonna
it
buy
did
that.
go by fast, yeah.
Yeah.
And my daughter's behind me. So, anyways, guys, yeah, we made it to the end of the podcast. Jason, thank you so much, bro. I think that was a great message in the end there, dude. I appreciate it. And hey, baby. All right, and everybody that's listening,
Don't worry
like
about that.
we
It's like church, bro. Hey,
yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
one of my
We
kids
got my
being
daughter in the
like,
background, so yeah, usually that's why I try to end at 7 o'clock.
hi.
All right, and like we always do, so we're gonna end this in prayer. So let's do that real quick. All right. So, Father God, in the name of Jesus, we appreciate everything you do for us, Lord. Thank you so much for these beautiful stories, and we know that you use these imperfect people for perfection. And you even used Judah, during that, that whole deceit that was happening. Still, Perez came, and then the line of David, King David, and then the line of the Messiah. We appreciate everything you do for us. Anybody that's listening, Lord, that's on the fence about worshiping you, or maybe is listening to this podcast and not, that not 100% committed to you, Lord, if you could just help them supernaturally through us as vessels, bring them closer to you, Lord. That's what the whole point of this podcast is to, faith cometh by hearing and hearing by the word of God. We're trying to bring the message to people. We're trying to show people that, Jesus, your son is throughout the whole Old Testament. And we want to show that, the most important things to everybody, and also that, even Jacob, he was a cheater, a liar, deceitful. You still used him, in that way, and we want you to use us as well. We're imperfect, and help us to get closer to perfection as we can get. And we know we're going to stumble, we know we're going to fall, but please forgive us for that, and help us to become vessels for you, Lord. Thank you so much for everything you do. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen. All
Amen.
right. Everybody that's listening, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you. Check out, thank you, Jonathan and Jacob, for letting us do this show. We appreciate you, and God bless you.